this computer.
Okay, let me just see. Got it.
Yeah.
Because you have to tell me, and I guess I have to give you permission.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So, welcome to another episode of my Menopause Tales from the Frontlines. I have a new guest this week, and her name is Lee. And the interesting thing about Lee is that we just met virtually. We know each other through the Lady the F Up community. She is not coached by myself, she is coached by Coach Mel. And obviously, Mel is doing a fabulous job, but it does take two. It takes a really good coach, and then it takes somebody that allows themselves to be coachable. So this isn't we're not going to have a conversation necessarily about, how do you stay fit, but more about how you have come to where you are now as a postmenopausal woman, and, just a little bit about your journey and how you are now fabulous and fit, and because I don't even
Oh,
know, like, I don't know, were you really unfit before, or were you super fit and now you're just like extraordinarily fit? Just whatever it is, I will just turn it over to you.
yeah, and I love this. I love this, Deborah. We're having a conversation, and I actually think these conversations need to happen more often. I think this whole area of perimenopause and menopause, we don't talk enough about it as women, honestly.
I
Honestly.
agree.
So I applaud you. I
Thank
applaud the
you.
entire Lady the F Up community for like taking this on, because it is an important subject. And I think it's really misunderstood. I don't know everything about it. I just know my journey, and if there's anything that I'm able to share that helps anyone else, everyone is on their own journey. But I distinctly, listen, remember, I am in menopause. I've been in menopause, the medical, I guess, 1 year without a menstrual period for
Okay.
over 5 years now.
Okay.
And I'll share, I'm 57. It's fine. It's okay.
It is.
Yeah. I feel better at 57 than I did at 40. I'm telling you. And I look better.
That's
But when I started this, like, let's even just go to perimenopause. I think a lot of women don't even understand what's happening when they're going through perimenopause. And again, everything is individual and unique, but I remember so distinctly in my mid 40s, I like the mood swing, like I was crazed. I felt crazy. It was three things. It was mood swings. Um, it was forgetting. Oh my gosh, the brain fog. Like I couldn't forget. I would know someone, couldn't remember their name. Like it was really disturbing to me. And then the third thing that happened, something that I had never experienced, was like true anxiety. I remember driving on the 401, going up a ramp to get onto the 427, and I was stuck on this ramp to get onto the really, really high up. I was having a full-on like panic attack.
Oh no.
And a lot of this is, sure, your hormones are fluctuating, but I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. And I like to read. I like to learn. That's just what I do. So I did do a lot of reading, and I will like tell you and everyone that I sought some medical advice,
Good.
because I just didn't feel like this was me. Like, this is not me. In
Right.
fact, I think I'm still apologizing to my 3 children for all of my raised attacks. And I found someone who, at the time, gave me a book. It was on perimenopause, and there's lots of other things that also happened during that time. And she suggested that I try some progesterone, which I did.
Oh, good.
I did. And I stayed on it and I have to tell you, everything sort of settled down. But I do want to say this, like hormonal replacement therapy, I've been on it, I've been off of it, I've been on it. So
Yeah.
it is not the panacea people think. Like, you do not take a hormone and then all of a sudden this goes away. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. And I know that. So during perimenopause, I went on some progesterone, probably for about a year, maybe two. And I'll tell you, I started taking a bit better care of myself, my
Good.
sleep. I did resistance train, but I'm going to tell you the difference between then and now. I wasn't consistent, didn't know what I was doing. Maybe I trained twice a week and thought it was great.
Yeah.
Pushed myself too hard, injured myself more than I probably would want. And then I did some other really crazy shit, let me tell you. I was, okay, I was the one, I stand on the scale. Okay. All right, let's do keto. I did keto. Let's fast. Oh, like I was the queen of fasting. Once I fasted for 9 days. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I lost weight and then
Oh,
I gained it all back. I did paleo. I anything like I'm a scientist by training, just so you know.
okay.
And so I use myself as the guinea pig. So I tried all of these things. And fast forward, I was doing a lot of cardio, a lot of restriction. And I was just telling you before we started that I reached out to Mel, and that I mentioned that the reason I know Mel is because Mel was my daughter Michaela's gymnastics coach for years and years and years. And so I had her on my social media feed, and I see her posting these incredible transformations for women at this stage. Listen, I'm, well now into my 50s, had done all this crazy stuff. We had gone through COVID, where I sat on my ass most of the time on Zoom meetings or whatever we're doing. And I was not feeling good. I had my daughter contact Mel, and we had a chat, Mel and I. And then I said, okay, so it would have been March of 22, I started with Melvina.
Oh, good.
But this is what I want everybody to know. Back then, I was not on any hormone replacement therapy. So that's number one. Menopause, biggest thing for me, sleep. I could not sleep. So lots of sleep disturbances for me.
Yeah.
Weight, like weight gain, all in the places we talk about. Lovely muffin top. It
Yep.
really was. And a whole like shifts everywhere. However, like I got on the scale and I'm like, oh, I weigh less. I was your true skinny fat, like truly skinny fat.
Okay.
I weigh like almost 7 pounds more now, and I got some muscle.
Yeah.
And it takes time. We all know it takes time and to put it on. But I think what worked for me is one, I needed structure. So that's number one. So allowing myself to actually focus on something that I was going to do that had a framework, and then I had to do it consistently. Like that was the thing. I had trained before in the past. I had even done, listen, I have done marathons, half marathons, you name
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd even done triathlons. I did a half triathlon once, like 10 months after my daughter was born. Again, crazy, but it gives you an idea
Right.
of of how I'm wired.
Well, I think it also will get rid of anybody who had a thought like, oh, like, it's not going to happen to me because I'm fit. I can continue to do what I'm doing. When you, because I'm fit too, and I got the back fat, and then it was like, oh, I guess having a couple of glasses of wine every weekend at the cottage, sitting on the dock, is not a good idea, because what do you do at the cottage? You just sit, you
Yeah,
sit and eat. So
yeah,
I was like, oh, I can't just sit and eat 2, 3 days a week. So I think it's really good that you point that out, that you're not new to exercise. Let's put it that way.
no,
And you don't strike me as somebody that ate her meals in drive-throughs.
no, no, actually, not at all.
No.
Not at all. But I will tell you this. I think, you know, this sleep was very poor. I really believe like I was just less active. Like if I really like took stock of
Yes.
what was happening, I would like, I'm tired, I'm gonna sit. Well, you know, yes, I would walk. You know, we have dogs, we walk the dogs, etc. But I could tell like I was not moving the way that I moved before. I just wasn't. And even leading up to my decision to join, I was like many women, like I was plagued. I had torn my supraspinatus tendon
Um,
in my shoulder. I have a torn labrum right now in my hip. Okay. Um, so I was even those things in my mind, I was, well, like I can't do what I used to do before. And now like, and I'm telling you, working with Mel, yes, the physical changed. Like truly, I was in shock. Although I would tell you at the beginning, like I feel badly for Mel because she had to put up with my shit, right? Resistant to like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Or how come I don't look like the after already? That's what
uh,
happened.
yeah, that is a very that's a
That was
really
mom.
hard thing for a lot of our clients to
Yeah.
wrap their head around. And it's not that I want to throw the person who's done the transformation under the bus at all, but I will quickly be honest and say, do you realize that you're 20 years older or 10 years older or 5 years older? Do you realize that this is an 18-month transformation, or she did this in 8 or 9 weeks, but are you prepared to diet hard and do up to 2 hours of cardio a day in addition to the resistance training? And because the challenges we do are designed to give a fast transformation, certainly not to be sustainable. So, I make sure that I tell people that have said to me, I want this to be sustainable. I don't want it, but then they don't want to actually have it be sustainable. They're looking for the quick fix. And if if you hadn't already worked with Mal and built up a good base of muscle and habits and that foundation of knowing how to eat properly, the challenge may not have been the best thing for you. Like that's how I met you, really, is through the challenge right now. Like you're on our you're so motivational and inspirational, and you're helping everybody and they're helping you, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But I have said to some women, like, if you've got a really stressful life and you're not sleeping, you want me now to take a body that's basically in fight or flight anyways, and then throw you into a greater, like, this
Yeah.
isn't the
It's
time of your
stress.
life. Yeah.
It's
You
stress.
it's
Yeah.
terrible. So, I mean, it's hard stress, but
Hmm.
if you could, I always tell people, like, try to work with us for at least a month or 6 weeks before the challenge, and we just get those habits done, and then we can go.
And I work, so Mel and I worked together for 8 months. Eight
Oh,
months.
fantastic.
Oh no, 8 months. And then we worked for 8 months. But what I wanted to say is I think what was most for me, my experience, most transformational. Look, this body of mine, it's under construction. It's gonna take more than 8 months, Deb. Let's
Okay.
just be clear. No, it is, but I'm okay with that now. Oh, and I think in, working with Mel, listening to, I immerse myself in this. I'm not an expert in this by any means. That's why I came here and to train with Mel. It is truly the mind shift. It like I if I said to anyone, look, you know, 9 days fasting, paleo, keto, like we can go on and on and on. That's disordered eating. Come on.
Yeah.
That's just, I did not have a good relationship. I mean, my entire life, I struggled with weight. I did. Whether I was active or I wasn't, I always struggled with it. I was as heavy as 165 pounds, as you know, in my adult years, as light as 115 when I got married. Why? Because I
Okay.
probably starved myself.
Yeah.
But this to say, that's completely changed. Like, even if I were to try to do a fast, I can't do a fast. I
No,
can't do it. I gotta eat.
it's so
I
funny that
gotta
you
eat.
say that because I had a client that said to me, "Damn you, Deborah, you fixed my mindset around food." Like
Yeah,
I can't even acknowledge that old woman that used to be able, like not old one, but like what she was
yeah,
to. And I said, "Oh, you mean the diet mindset is gone?
yeah.
We've gotten rid of it, you know?"
But I don't think unless you go through it, you really you can appreciate it. Like, I have such an immense appreciation. Like, I don't look at a potato or a sweet potato and say, "Oh, carb, I can't eat it." It's like, how much can I eat? I'll just put it in my macros and see where it fits in if that's what I want to eat. Um, it is liberating,
Liberating, yes.
liberating. And that is actually, in some ways, I know menopause and perimenopause, I know they can be so challenging for so many women. Again, why it's so important we have the conversation, but I also think it's a liberating time of life, because you start to really, if you do the work, you can really let go of all of the patterns you had that were not, you realize they were not serving you and not serving you well at all. And I think that's what, you know, uh, what's been so meaningful. Like, I am lighter. That's what I would tell you. I'm not lighter in weight. I'm lighter in my, just at how I approach things. I'm brighter. Actually, Mel said that, Lee, you're lighter and brighter, because of course we were not together for almost a year. And what I'm most proud about, because now I've come back to do the challenge, is that I still went to the gym 4 to 5 days. Like, I
Yeah.
still did that. I still tracked my food.
Good.
If that's what I needed to do. And yeah, sure, maybe there were times where I was a little less,
That's fine.
focused, but I kept that. And for me, that's that sustainability. And then I just kept working on the other stuff.
Right.
Um, and then coming back to this challenge, honestly, Deb, if anybody asked me at 57, so first of all, during that 8 months with Melvina, I would tell her all the time, okay, I can't do this stair climber. I can't do this goddamn, forget the stair climber. Can we do something else? And of course, do what you can do. I
Right.
can't do it. I can't do it. Freaking do an hour now. So
Isn't that amazing?
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing. When you achieve these things, I don't care how old you are, but certainly as we're getting older, there is something to be said about celebrating those wins, being
Oh,
grateful.
yeah.
Like,
Like
I'm
you're
mobile.
fitter and have way more energy and you look brighter than the many 30-year-olds that I know. I'm not saying my clients, I'm just like 30-year-olds of people that I see around. I'm like, because they eat poorly, they don't prioritize sleep, they're not resistance training, they're going from boot camp classes to hot this to spinning to dieting, restricting, and then all hell breaks loose when it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday where they're really drinking too much alcohol.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I wanted to ask you. Did you notice that you had to change any foods or the way you eat to, minimize any symptoms that you were getting from being in peri and then now in menopause?
Yeah, so I will tell you, I have had digestive issues. When I tell you issues, it's just I would tell you, like, I suffer from, like, the bloat, I think sometimes more than most people. You know, is it, have I changed how I eat? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it has made a remarkable difference. Like, the idea of prioritizing protein, complete shift again. I don't drink. And if I do, by the way, I laughed because I listened to your video today. Like, just drink the hard stuff. And if there's anything I drink only, it's tequila. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, Deb approved, but just one.
just one.
Um, yeah, so I don't drink, and cannot. I don't feel good when I drink like we used to drink when we were in our 20s and
Exactly.
30s. So that's kind of, so now if it doesn't, I'm trying to be much more mindful too. I'm doing that gut reset. I'm going to do it more after the
Oh,
challenge.
good.
But I have noticed I cut out like the whey protein things seem to be settled a little bit, gluten, etc. I can still eat lots of food, so that's not the issue, but
Oh, of
I
course.
am I am trying. I think a lot of it, I'm going to be honest with you, is just it's me, and it's probably a little bit of psychology, and that's where I hold my stress, is in my gut.
Yes, I think a lot of women do. A lot of women will
Yeah.
do. And um there are foods that are triggering with respect to nasty side effects like night sweats and hot flashes and the brain fog, like
Yeah.
which are
Yeah.
which are really all the foods that we tell anybody at any age to really minimize, which is things with lots of refined sugar, processed junk food. I mean, it's it's common sense, but and it seems simple, but it's not that easy because it really does take dedication to like change.
And like everything, like we were just saying, right? Hormones are not a panacea. It
No,
takes time. Once you start fueling your body and feeding your body properly, you're not going to notice the difference right away.
no, you're not.
But when you stick to, and this is the whole thing, consistency really does matter. I mean, uh, it makes a difference. Now, if I choose to go off whatever plan, and I just do not feel well, and then and we're human, we all do it. But I think to myself, like, do I really want to feel this way? It wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't
No,
worth eating that, whatever it was, cake, cookies, it doesn't matter. I don't have a real huge sweet tooth. I'm more savory.
you're more savory.
It's
Okay.
salt, so
Yeah.
chips or things like that. But honestly, Deb, I don't feel good. So why
No,
am I doing that?
something I think that we always have felt kind of crappy when we've had those, but when you don't know what it feels like to feel good,
Yeah.
you have nothing to compare it to. And when if you have the mindset that when you're going through perimenopause or you're like right in the thick of things, you're not thinking, oh, this has to do with my perimenopause. Has to do with my unopposed estrogen because my progesterone's too low and my estrogen. No, you're not thinking like that. You're just thinking, what is wrong with me? Or like, I just don't feel like myself. And if
Yes.
you don't have a good health practitioner that listens and cares, they might just say, I told somebody today, I think it was, that I have a wonderful doctor now. She's great. She's younger than I am. I think she's fantastic. And I have a naturopath that I see as well. And they complement each other. But the one that I had to leave when I was telling her, like, this doesn't feel normal. Like, I shouldn't be bleeding every day for 6 months and feel like I'm hemorrhaging and so exhausted. I was talk about brain fog. The worst would be I would be standing in front of a classroom at Humber teaching my students, and then the hot flash would come. And so my upper lip would start to sweat, my back, it's dry, like running down my back. And then I couldn't remember a word. And you don't know embarrassment until you have 120-year-olds looking at you like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your face is red, you're sweating, and you can't talk. No, because it was the worst. But
Oh,
so when I went to my doctor and I said to her, I go, like, I'm still getting my period. Obviously, it hasn't gone away. Like, what's going on? And she said, all this out here, those lovely muscles and your lean body, might make you look 10 years younger, but inside, you're still the age you are. You're aging.
Is
And
this
I
what your
said,
doctor said?
yeah, I can't, I swear on anything you want me to. I looked at her and I said, okay, so I have to go see a
Wow.
gynecologist. And she said, it's going to take 6 months. And I said, then bring it on. And it took about 4 months. She goes, is there somebody you want to see? And I said, yes. And I gave her the name. And
Good.
she said, oh, figures. Why her? And I said, because I work with a lot of women and they all talk about her. And she just sounds fabulous. When I went to her, that day, she ordered a uterine biopsy. She called me the next morning and said, what are you doing tomorrow? Because you're in surgery. Like it was like boom, boom, boom. And yes, a lot of it was perimenopause, but it was also things that could have been a lot more serious. Like I went under signing away that I may wake up having had a full hysterectomy. So, and this woman is a very well-known doctor in the GTA who has written for the Globe and Mail, has written books, who, has gone through her own challenges in life, but just probably about 10 years older than I am, just either was in a mood that day or didn't want to listen to me or was sick and tired that I was coming back all the time. So it's it is a very frustrating time and you have to be an advocate for
You
yourself.
do. Oh, you have to advocate. There's this group of three female, I don't know if you've heard of them, three female physicians in Canada, because, we're slow.
Yes.
There's always slow with things like this. But they are three female physicians. One actually is a sleep specialist, and they are now advocating for education for women around perimenopause, menopause. And I think the handle on Instagram is it's our time, meaning women, it's our
Yes.
time. And I think they're a great resource.
That's
But
wonderful.
honestly, we need, it's really unfortunate, Deb, I have to say, like, to be dismissed by your, and it's hit and miss, huh? Some
Yeah.
physicians, they'll send you, or I had my own GP at the time, this was years ago, because that women's health initiative study has scared a lot of people. But for her, like, she just called someone for me and had a discussion and said, no, we're going to try this and this and
That's
see if it
wonderful.
helps. Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
many of that, too many just blindly read the blurb of the study and didn't dive deeper in to see how many people or how many women were affected. What were what was the control group like? Like it was just so flawed. And then you get health writers that pick out the
Yeah.
wow factor headlines and then you're sitting at your kitchen table having your coffee reading it in your morning newspaper and you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to do that. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I
And
mean,
again, they're not for everybody. You have to make
no.
that decision with your healthcare provider, but we do have options. Some of these symptoms, I would never tell you that they were debilitating to the point where, like, I couldn't work or like I managed them. But
Yes,
for some women, they're debilitating.
they
Like, I
are.
read a headline not that long ago that it costs Canadians, like women, like 3.3 billion in lost wages over the course of, I guess, when we go through this transition, because for some women, that's how difficult the symptoms are for them. And then they can't get help.
And they can't. No, well, that same doctor offered me an antidepressant.
Oh,
She goes, no, I know you're not depressed, but like the findings are that it really, really works and it will help with your hot flashes and it'll help. I was like, you're gonna put me on an antidepressant? Like,
it
are you
makes me
kidding me?
sad. Do you think, listen, do you think men would put up with this shit? No.
No. I know, like I was talking to my partner today about something, oh, just about misdiagnosis of one of his sons that had to have two surgeries because he was misdiagnosed. He goes, you know that I switched him over to my doctor from his mother's doctor, and I said, let's get the ball rolling. I want an MRI for my son. I want this, I want this. And the doctor went, okay. And I said, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a great doctor, but there is something about a man taking charge that other people hear it with authority. Whereas when we do it, it's like, because I was saying, I want this, I want this, like this isn't me, I don't feel right. And
Yeah, you're asserting yourself and somehow,
oh, it was looking like I just wanted to be young. I wasn't accepting my age, like I was doing the diet culture, but like anti-aging toxic talk. No, I wasn't. I was really suffering with that. I wasn't suffering with weight gain, and I wasn't suffering with those other things, but that part I was, which could have led a lot of women to give up because you don't want to be in
yes,
the gym when you're going through that, when you're exhausted
no,
and you
no.
feel like crap, like, right? So I do know that there's a lot of women out there that think, I think I just have to accept this. My mother went through it, my aunts, my older sister, weight gain just happens. And that's what bothers me when I see like young influencers on Instagram or Facebook saying, the key to your weight loss is estrogen, and this is what you're going to do. And if it's a young male influencer, I
Even
just want to
worse.
yeah, it's terrible. Like I just want to throttle the boy.
Yeah, it just isn't. It just doesn't work that way. You actually have to change your habits. Full stop.
You do.
At least that's my experience. Full stop. Like you
Yeah.
have to do something differently. Putting something in your mouth, or if you're gonna do it,
And I mean,
it
do
doesn't matter.
everything if it works for you. How's your sleep now?
So much better. So my sleep is better, and but I have done some. So I will tell everyone, like I took sleeping, like a sleeping pill for years between peri and menopause. I'm off that,
Oh, that's amazing.
which I'm really proud of that. I don't
Yeah.
want to be on that. But now I have a really, again, I'm telling you about structure clearly. I go to bed, I try to go to bed at the same time every night. So I have good, decent, it's not great sleep hygiene. So I can get to sleep. Deb, what I struggle with is I wake up.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's really typical. That is typical for,
so typical. And I used to fret a lot about it.
yeah, I
And
know.
that's the other thing, huh? There does, yeah. I used to just like,
Yeah, I know. That word fret is perfect because it's
yeah,
like you're fretting. You're like, ah.
like go to sleep. And now, you know what? Okay, did I just wake up? Okay, like turn on. If I can go back to sleep, I go back to sleep. And I have a new doctor now. My old doctor retired. My new doctor said, Lee, if you cannot sleep, like don't worry, but get yourself out of bed and go sit somewhere for a bit,
Yeah,
then come back, because she says to me, and actually she's right, you don't want to associate being awake when you're lying in your bed, like for any prolonged period of time. So she gave me that advice. And look, I think my sleep is, it varies. I wear one of these Aura rings. I'm a little bit upset.
me too. I love it.
And now we have a resilience rating on here
I
now.
know.
So
I'm new to the aura. I haven't got my resilience rating yet. I'm
oh,
reading every day.
wait, you're going to have a stress rating, a resilience rating. I quite like it. Like, look, it's a wearable. When it told me I burned 1,000 calories the other day, I was, I know that's not accurate,
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
but it, because it's an algorithm, I had the Aura before it became, because remember, I'm the guinea pig. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it has enough data. I have like probably almost 4 years of data on my aura. And of course it's AI. So the more it knows you, and
Yes,
I'm going to tell you something. I told you I've been on hormones. I have been off hormones. I have gone back on hormones. It changes. You can see it change it. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Very interesting. So so I do look at my sleep. I laugh when, I think I posted the other day when my ring is like my cheerleader saying, you're up for a challenge today. I'm thinking this thing is crazy. But it's pretty accurate. And I will say, like, I get up fairly early, so I go to bed early because I'm if I don't go and work out in the morning, I don't work out.
I'm the same.
And so I know that and I accept that. So
I'm in a bad mood. If I had to go work out right now, I am gonna do a hot stretch class. It's just something I've promised myself I'll do for the next little bit. But if
yeah,
it was like a workout,
I can't
oh,
do
I'd
it.
be in a bad mood. I would be feeling so sorry for myself, Lee. I
I'm glad
like
it's not just me because some people like, what are you doing? Like, and now we're in the gym like 2 hours, right?
the
Plus
challenge, yeah.
the challenge. And because I go in the morning, there's the 5 a.m. club or whatever we are. And I'm usually the only woman with all the young bucks.
Yep.
It's good.
Good
But
for you.
the older gentlemen start coming in, and usually I'm kind of on my way out as they're coming in, but we know each other. Well, today one of them said to me, "Have you been on the treadmill since 5 a.m.?" And it was like 7:30. And I'm like, "No, Anthony, no. Doing a lot of cardio." So people actually watch, and yeah, I'm thinking, so yeah, I have to do it in the morning, but I'll tell you, it does set my day up in the best possible way. Like, yes, I'm tired. So I'm in bed, like honestly, between 8 and 8:30, and then I'm asleep around 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. I think that's great. No, I
So
think that that's great. You said I'm gonna let you go because I could just talk to you for hours. This is
I could
great.
talk to you for hours too. This is fabulous.
Yeah. Um, maybe we'll get Lexi to do a community connect and we can talk more about that because I do think it'd be nicer for some of the younger women to hear it because as I've mentioned in previous episodes of this, when I was a younger trainer in my 30s, early 30s, and I would train women in their 40s and my age now, 59, and like in between, and they would talk about menopause. And why do you think they hired me? They had the spare tire,
Yeah.
they didn't have muscle tone, some of them had never worked out, some of them were cardio junkies. I was scared shitless. Like, I do not want to go through that. So I'm going to do everything and anything. And I remember even just training this naturopath, and I said, "Do all women like get become overweight during menopause?" And she said, "No, you have good foundational habits. Your body's going to change and you're going to have to adjust the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you exercise." But she said, stick with these habits and don't worry. And I will never ever she wasn't my naturopath. She was just my client. And I'm thinking, wow, what simple, perfect advice.
I have to say this to you. When I see the incredible women in this challenge, and so many of them young mothers, right?
Yes.
And all I want to say to them is, please, please, please prioritize resistance training, protein, like the things that now I wish I had known back then, because you are going to be better. You're better for your children, your family, for everyone, if
Yeah.
you prioritize yourself and all those foundational skills. They will take you, like, it is about, I don't care what anybody says, Debbie, it's about longevity, but it's about being healthy. It's health span. It's not lifespan. Like I told you, I work out now. Sure, I want to be as fit as possible, as strong as possible, but you know what? I don't want to fall and break my hip.
No,
And and that is something that's very possible at this age and beyond, right?
They
So
say that over the age of 65, something like is it 30, 3 out of 10 people that fall and break their hip actually could go on for like die because of it?
yeah, yeah, the mortality rate
Yeah,
when you break your hip is exceptionally high.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like that is over 65. I mean, that's me in 6 years.
No, but that's the kind of stuff, that
Yeah.
registers. So when we're here, I mean, this is why I said it's so important that younger women understand, like, take care of yourself,
Yes.
really and truly. Like, everybody is worthy and deserving of that.
They
So
are.
yeah, yeah. I wish I'd known, but that's okay. My daughter knows that,
Well, that is,
and my sons know.
yeah.
So that for me is important. And the one thing I am so incredibly proud of is she does not have a bad relationship with food, and she loves her body. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Isn't well, then you should be really proud of that because that's rare.
it. Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's
yeah,
rare.
I know.
And I feel so awful for women that were like our age growing up with those messages at us all the time to try to be as thin as possible no matter what, and then all the cardio and then like forget about like all the fat-free foods and all that crap. But if you don't change and evolve and learn, then unfortunately you're destined to keep repeating those mistakes and then you have younger people looking at you and it's just that's what's really sad. So good for you and how wonderful for your daughter. And she's a was a is a former gymnast.
And
So
she's a former gymnast, so don't think that she wasn't ultra thin. But man, she's not. She is got the anyway. I am so envious of her
yeah.
beautiful behind, and just she's just lovely. But I think and she takes care of herself, right? And she eats well, and she can get away with much more than I can now.
Oh, but and that's
But
youth. Good for
that's
that's
good.
youth.
Like, do it now. But I have to say, if there's one thing I'm most proud of, it's that she didn't um adopt those habits that we grew those habits that didn't serve us, those
Right.
patterns.
So she probably just thought, oh, mom, she's being crazy. All she just needs to do is like exercise or
Deb,
do this.
I'm going to tell you, she's doing her master's in psychotherapy. So
Oh,
I, my own therapist. Remember, I told you I was crazed during perimenopause. She probably thought, this is my calling. I have to help other women like my mother.
yeah. Yeah. Well, my girls knew it too because they were when I told them, they went, "Yeah, no kidding. You've been hell to live with." I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Me?"
I know.
Anyway, well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
agreeing to share your journey and your story because I am I'm going to make sure that I do hundreds of thousands of these to show women that we are going to become the norm.
Yeah,
And we're going to outnumber the ones that just give up on themselves or don't want to put the time and effort in. I mean, somebody could watch us and go, yeah, well, I can't hire a coach. There is so much information out there. And, if you can't hire a coach, you don't have, get a book like you did, read
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Start there. Start there.
Yeah. Walk every day. That takes no money.
Yes.
Eat
Yes.
protein first, and then vegetables, and then some fruit. And then if you're still hungry, well, learn good habits like not eating in front of the TV, going to bed without your phone. These are these are just all things that people want to overcomplicate, and you don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
at this stage of life, the consistency is required. Otherwise, you're not going to feel and look as good as you want. And
You know, it comes down at the end of the day, I always say this, to will. Like you have to want it.
yes. Yeah,
You have
you're
to want it
absolutely
for
right.
yourself. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you read in our thing, a challenge, one of my challengers, Sally wrote, she wrote, Deb's been my trainer and coach on and off for the past 12 or 15 years. I trained her in person for many years and then COVID. So we
Yeah.
had to stop. And then she bought a Peloton and thought that was going to be it. And then she reached out to me just about 3 months ago and just said, okay, like I'm done with, I can't. The only time I've ever been in my fittest is when you were training me. But she wrote all the things that I've said to her. It's okay if you don't, you're not going to lose body fat. You clearly don't want it bad enough.
I
Or
read it.
if,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want it, you'll do it. And she was like saying all the things that I had said to her. And it's true. Like, just be honest. If you don't want it, if you say you want it, but be honest, you're not prepared to do what you need to do in order to get it.
And you
And
know what?
own
If
that.
you're not, you got to be okay with that because it's
Yes,
just not going to happen.
choices,
It's
consequences.
it's it. That's it. That's
Positive or
it.
negatively.
Yeah.
You make good choices, hopefully there's really good consequences. You make poor choices, well, you might get away with it a few times, but it
Oh, it
catches.
catches up with you eventually. We know that. Well, at least it did with me.
Me
So,
too. Oh no,
you
me
know,
too. I coach a lot of fitness professionals because we're not immune, especially if you've spent your life teaching group X classes. Like there's it, the one common denominator that all women have is that we will all go through this.
yes, we will. Yep.
So,
Yep.
you know,
So that's why I think having the conversation with as many people as possible, and I hope that this like just raises awareness and maybe we'll start to get some really good resources for us here in Canada
yes,
where people can go. Maybe these three doctors that are starting to bring this
that
to
would
the
be great.
forefront. I mean, we have got to have more discussion on this. We do not have to suffer. We do not have to suffer, and nobody has to be a martyr. It's not
No,
necessary, right?
it is not. You're
So,
absolutely right.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much. And I hope that you have a great weekend. There was a great weather today, so maybe we'll be able to get outside and feel some warmth.
I hope so. I hope so, Deb. Sunshine would
Yeah.
be very welcome.
I was
Very
very happy
welcome.
today all day, and I've been really busy, and I'm thinking, "Well, I'm so happy because of all the sunshine."
Yeah, yeah,
It really has made a difference.
yes. Listen, thank you so very much for this
Oh,
opportunity to have this incredibly lovely conversation with you. It's
yeah.
been fun. It's been fun,
It
and
has been lots of fun, and I am so glad that you were open to it, and it's just I think that that's such a nice gift to give to all women, and especially our Lady the F Up community.
great
So
community. Thank you for all that
thank
you do
you.
and all that everybody does in the community.
Oh, you're very
Thank you.
welcome. It's
Thank you.
my pleasure. Okay,
Okay. All
take
right.
care.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.